Matthew Hammond, congrats on Jack sealing the deal with his girl. How did Jack propose? Does he have any recommendations for oh God, for how Frank should do it? Frank's my boyfriend, and Matthew Hammond loves to throw 99 cents towards a ring fund.
That was $5 he just put in there.
Yeah. No.
And those are American dollars as far as I know, Matthew Hammond. Maybe he's Canadian. I don't know. Matthew Hammond, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I did propose to my longtime girlfriend, 7 years. We were together before I proposed. And I'll tell you why I proposed in the first place. Of course, I love her. She had been with me through ups and downs. She'd been with me in my old career. She was with me through the doxing. She was with me through fucking emptying the bank accounts and scrimping and saving and the whole thing. She was with me through all of it, and now she's been with me on the ups, and she has been down 100% every single step of the way. And I saw in her somebody that I wanted to build a future with, and somebody that I wanted to commit to in the presence of God and my community to make something special that was greater than ourselves.
Wow. That's so romantic.
Is it? It's not. I didn't say I loved her. I mean, it wasn't because I fell in love. I mean, I do, but it wasn't because I fell in love with her. It wasn't because of the chemicals or the lust or even any of that stuff. And I know that together she and I can build something even better. And so that's why I wanted to propose. And I did. And I waited until we were in Miami, in one of my favorite places in Miami. We did all of our favorite stuff in Miami that day. We went out to one of our favorite places to eat, and then we went out like to this club that we like, and then we were back at the hotel that we love, in the pool that and it was right there in our scene where we had like gone and traveled like 5 or 6 times before that. And so it was very meaningful to us. And we just signed the contract for the venue and set the date, and we're getting married next fall. Can't wait.
Aww.
Yeah.
Mask required.
Get Frank on it.
Frank's my boyfriend.
Come on, Frank.
Oh boy. Was she surprised?
Well, probably, because I had been telling her I was going to do it for a while.
And so she had lost hope. That's the perfect way to do it. Get your woman to the place where she is hopeless and has given up, and then surprise.
Well, in some ways, maybe, but not.
Yeah.
Don't do that on purpose. What sealed the deal for me really was I asked her to quit her job. And
that's pretty romantic.
And to manage the house and manage my schedule and my shit. And she said, all right, I'm doing it. And so when she made the step of leaving her career to support me full time, all the time, that's when I knew that I was ready to make that commitment to her. And I'm not saying everybody needs to do that. It was just, that's how it was for me. And because when I met her, I was like, babe, I ain't never getting married again. Just FYI.
Because you had done it already once
I
before.
had done it already, and it didn't work out. And of course, it was because I was the wrong kind of man then for marriage at all. And I had a lot of things to work through and whatever. It just didn't work. It was just never going to work. And I've been divorced for 12 years now. So it's been a while, and I've learned a lot, and I've grown a lot. And I see the world much more clearly. I see my role in the world much more clearly. And when this woman has been a stepmother to my children for 7 years, she's loved them, take care of them, raised them. My youngest is 8. Like, she changed diapers and has been with this baby almost 8 or 9 years. Like, I knew I wanted. She
touched poop. Yeah.
Yeah. She touched poop. She deserves a ring. You got shit on your finger, baby. I'll put a diamond on it.
Mm-hmm. I gotta go.
Please don't take that out of context anyway.
No, of course not. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, of course, love is great, but what you're describing is what remains after the chemicals settle down and the biological stuff calms down. And I have so many guy friends that are comedians, and they just can't see. They always seem to lose interest after a year and a half, 2 years. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly when like the chemicals kind of wane, and then what you have to do is the work of building a real partnership.
Right. So there's 2 kinds of love. Well, there's many kinds maybe, but I can identify 2. There's your passionate love that happens when you first meet, and the smell, and all you can think about is
smell right there, and you're like,
all you can think about is just getting up in there and be in there and grab and like eat it all up and just devour it and have it and possess it and be up in it and all that. It's like the only thing you can fucking think about. Your friends are like, yo, where you been? I'm like, dude, we've been making dinner and fucking. That when that happens, that's a certain special kind of thing. But that wanes, man. That is your body chemically trying to get you to reproduce. Okay. But that wanes. And then what's building, though, is companionate love. And that builds more slowly over time. And that takes going through multiple family Christmases.
That you have to every season twice.
Yes, at least twice or three times or even four times.
During winter, you know,
right,
like
exactly.
Gotta know that.
Does she have sweaters and boots? Like, come on, we have to figure these things out. So you have to go through the seasons. You have to go through the trials and tribulations. And then you begin to build an affection, a fondness, a love that is built on the history that you have. That is built on your experiences and your shared experiences and the conflicts that you've overcome, the successes that you've had. And at the end of the day, the area under that curve of a companionate love is greater than the area under the love of a passionate love. And there's a danger point when that passionate love peaks and starts to wane a little, and the companionate love hasn't quite built itself up. That's the danger point. 1.5 to 6, 7 years, somewhere in there. And I guess this is why arranged marriages in the past were so effective, because they're just like, fuck all that passionate shit. Start building the companionate love now. If you have passionate love, great. But you guys aren't getting divorced. If you don't,
it'll wear off anyway.
Exactly. It's ephemeral. And so if your perspective is already long term, then that makes it easier. You know, romantic love and marriage is a new thing. That's not how we did things for the longest time.
But most people get married at that peak fun sex part, like that year and a half. That's when most people go, all right.
Dude's like, shit, all we're going to do is cook and fuck for the rest of my life. That sounds great. You're going to make meals and we're going to have sex every night and watch my favorite show. Fuck yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, that's not how it lasts forever.
Yeah.
So when I tell people why am I getting married, saying that I'm in love is not the first reason. It's like the 8th reason.
You could be in love, I mean, with lots of people. You could have that like chemistry, physical excitement. Yeah.
Believe me, I have it with like 20 different girls walking down the street every single day.
And it doesn't take much. You're just like, wow, she's not wearing a mask. Well, I can see her whole face. Woo! I'm feeling something.
Indeed. That's hilarious.
Jay says, marry the girl. Oh, this is a Bill Burr quote. Marry the girl who is with you when you're the loser sleeping on the futon. A lot of women just wait for guys crossing the finish line. Well, yeah, that's biological.
But that's an interesting observation, right? There's a lot of guys in the red pill manosphere who will say, chicks are only waiting at the finish line. It's not true, man. Girls are the ultimate like renovators, right? They can look at a man and be like, well, if he just lost 50 pounds, gained 30 IQ points, made $300,000 a year more, dressed differently, ate differently, talked differently, he would be perfect. Let's do this.
We're like sculptors. We see a big slab of rock. We're like, we just want to chip away at the man that we know is under there.
Indeed. And, you know, it's not as exaggerated as that, but there are definitely women who see and seek out potential. And that's different than waiting, quote, at the finish line. Now, I do advise men, if you're in a very religious environment and your parents and her parents that get married and y'all never going to get divorced, go for it at a young age, for sure. But if you're in this sort of modern secular world, I say wait until you're at least in your early 30s. Like, have your shit together, bro.
Yeah, as a guy, you have nothing to lose by waiting.
No. Have your shit together and then make a decision as to whom you're going to marry. If you're not in an environment in which divorce is not an option, right? If you're in an environment where people get abortions and have divorces, you better fucking wait until you are locked up, your career is locked up, you've got money, you've got lawyers, you've got a whole fucking plan, and you know that you're just looking to add something to your life rather than like have the woman be your whole life. And again, this is just in this modern secular fucked up kind of world that we live in, because I don't know that that's the best option. I do know that that's the best tactical approach today in this environment. But again, that hasn't been the way that it's been throughout all time. So
it's really unfortunate because like the courts, everything is set up to like when you do get a divorce, everything is highly favored towards the mother, the woman, like whether she's a great mother, a great person or not. And exactly, like if you make that rash decision to like get somebody pregnant or get married, you can get divorced, but more so if you get somebody pregnant, like you now spend like a big chunk of your maybe time, money now dealing with the.
if we are still streaming live, I'll keep going. Where's Chrissy? I don't know. We're talking about marriage. We're talking about relationships. Maybe she'll come back. I think she died. Maybe
you're dealing with the aftermath of the.
There we go. I'm going. I can cover.
Oh my God.
I can cover.
I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's going on. Like I have a good computer. I have a good internet cord. I have good Wi-Fi. But
you got a good cord.
I have a good cord. It plugs into the wall. Every 3 or 4 episodes, it just drops.
Hey, I was rolling with it, babe. I got it.
I restart my computer and everything. But I know a lot of guys that like they have a kid with somebody, they break apart, and it's like now that occupies so much of your time, of your money, is just you might as well just take the extra time to like really get to know the person.
Well, look, divorce is the worst thing that ever happened to me. I'll say that straight up. Okay, maybe marrying the wrong woman, fine, but we married, we had kids. Getting divorced was the worst thing that ever happened to me. It's the worst thing that happened to my kids. I don't recommend it to anyone. So if you're going to get married, make sure you got your shit together first. And make sure that you're attracting a woman that is going to respect the natural power dynamic. She's not trying to compete with you. She's not trying to be the queen and you're just a fucking pauper. None of that. Make sure that she understands you're the king. She wants to help support you and grow your kingdom. And you're like, sweet, let's do this together. That's my advice.
Yeah.
Frank,
absolutely.
Be a king.
I just feel like so many women have overused like the king and queen terms. Like I always chuckle. I'm like, he's the king. And I don't know, because I've had so many couples show up to shows drunk. And I'm like, oh, what does your husband do for a living? He's the king. Don't talk to him. People are fun.
I'm not that drunk yet.
Nathan Klein, when I met my wife in his mid-30s, I was making just more than minimum wage. She helped me go back to school for computer programming, and now I'm making 6 fig.
Hey, good on you, buddy. But, people that point out the exceptions to rules in my Twitter mentions get blocked. So there you go. Sorry, Nathan. I mean, look, that does happen, of course. There are women that come into relationships with different emotional circumstances, different relationship histories. Maybe that woman was 10 years older than him. We don't know. We don't know the circumstances there.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make generalizations, guys, be 33, girl, be 25, guy, have your shit together, girl, be ready to build a life. That's what I'm saying. That's sort of my ideal model. Yeah.
And like, if there are, so many of my listeners are men, but if there's like 2 or 3 girls listening, you're fed this lie in your teens and 20s that like, you're confused into thinking that like finding somebody good and getting to know them is settling. And you got to hold out for this perfect guy that doesn't exist. There's just so many tricks out there to waste your time, and all in the name of like freedom. And
remember that the original feminists in the 60s, Simone de Beauvoir and all of these fucking idiots, they explicitly they set out to destroy maternity, femininity, and everything that it meant to be a woman. And so all of the messaging, all of their memes, in effect, all of their research and papers and policies and everything they ever advocated for has at its heart the desire to destroy what it means to be a mother and a wife. So every piece, because all of our institutions are totally captured by this ideology, every piece of information and every piece of advice you get from the institutions is designed to destroy maternity and motherhood and femininity, as well as masculinity, fatherhood, and patriarchy. It's meant to destroy all of that. They want to destroy all that. In fact,
Because
the
they want to
feminists,
be the daddy.
well, no, they want the state to be the daddy.
Right. Government
Yeah.
is the daddy.
The government's the daddy. And so everything that they do, everything that they tell you, everything was designed to destroy all of our traditional family roles and to just give you advice that leads you to begging for communism. If you listen to the institutions and the theories and everything around today, it's designed to move you to a point in which you're like, communism sounds like a good idea. Because if you're 45 and you don't have a man and you don't have any kids and you didn't do this shit, but you got your career and whatever, you're like, you know what, this is, I don't want to do this anymore. Let the state take over. Let the state take over. It's by design. So like, I sound like a nut job by saying this shit. But like, if you just read what they say the exact same thing. They say we need to destroy maternity, motherhood, paternity, patriarchy. We need to destroy the family. We need to destroy everything so that we can empower the state to offer childcare and offer education and to take care of the kids.
I think
nobody knows. Nobody knows. I'm going to rant for a second. I have lost family members, not to death, but I've been exiled. My mom's side of the family all grew up boomer, radical, 60s feminists, whatever. And they all believe that when I criticize feminism, I'm saying that women shouldn't have jobs. But what I'm saying is no, feminism is leading us to destroy the family and to lead us towards communism. But they can't break their fucking mind away from that. Do I believe women should have jobs in the vote? Yes. I say it like that. Yes. Yes, of course. But should we have preserved the idea of the family? Should we have preserved the idea of maternity and femininity? Yes. And that is what I critique. And that is what I rail against. And yet they have disowned me. They literally have disowned me. And it's coming up as a salient point for me in my personal life because we're literally planning the fucking guest list for the wedding.
Wow.
And I'm like, this whole side of the family, I'm like, well, they hate me. They hate me. They hate me. They hate me.
Well, they all sit at one table. Far in the back, away from the bar. They sit by the bathroom. People who have
it's like $150 a head. I'm
what?
not gonna invite them.
Okay, no, yeah.
To sit at a table and be salty. No, fuck them. They don't get to come.
Yeah, and I think it almost seems like it's easier to sort of destroy women than it is men because like I do these like polls on my Twitter like, hey, single guys, like, have you given up on the idea of finding a woman, settling down, like starting a family? And really like a lot of them are still, for it, but it's almost like if this was planned, yeah, it would be easier to kind of make the women disillusioned, make them feel like they don't need men. Just be like, you're smart. You're smarter than just reproducing. Go get your degree, pay for it for the rest of your life. And I think that's why so many of these boomer women are so defensive about it because they've spent years and so much money on these degrees and these careers that's part of their identity because they've been convinced that should be their identity.
All these people are ego invested in their ideologies. That's the thing. That's why it's so difficult to dislodge any of this.